Concept of elasticity. Elasticity is a measure of just how much the quantity demanded will be affected by a change in price or income or change in price of related goods. Elastic is a term used in economics to describe a change in the behavior of buyers and sellers in response to a change in price for a good or service. Companies that operate in fiercely competitive industries provide goods or services that are elastic because these companies tend to be price takers, or those that must accept prevailing prices. When the price of a good or service reaches the point of elasticity, sellers and buyers quickly adjust their demand for that good or service. Importance of elasticity. Elasticity is an important economic measure, particularly for the sellers of goods or services, because it indicates how much of a good or service buyers consume when the price changes. When a product is elastic, a change in price quickly results in a change in the quantity demanded. The change that is observed for an elastic good is an increase in demand when the price decreases and a decrease in demand when the price increases. Elasticity also communicates important information to consumers. If the market price of an elastic good decreases, firms are likely to reduce the number of goods or services they are willing to supply. If the market price goes up, firms are likely to increase the number of goods they are willing to sell. This is important for consumers who need a product and are concerned with potential scarcity. Examples of elastic goods. Typically, goods that are elastic are either unnecessary goods or services, or those for which competitors offer readily available substitute goods and services. The airline industry is elastic because it is a competitive industry. If one airline decides to increase the price of its fares, consumers can use another airline, and the airline that increased its fares will see a decrease in the demand for its services. Example of elastic products includes the following: soft drinks, cereals, clothing, gadgets or electronics, and cars. The concept of elasticity is divided into two special areas, that is, demand elasticity and supply elasticity. Demand elasticity. Demand for a good is said to be elastic. If a small change in price causes people to demand a lot more or a lot less of the good. Elasticity of demand is the responsiveness of the quantity demanded of a commodity to changes in one of the variables on which the demand depends. In other words, it is the percentage change in quantity demanded divided by the percentage in one of the variables on which the demand depends. The variables on which demand can depend on are price of the commodity, prices of related commodities, consumers' income, and etc. These are some examples of elasticity demand products. 1. Gas from a particular station. The demand for gasoline from any single gas station or chain of gas stations is highly elastic. Buyers can choose between comparable products based on price. There are often many situations in a small geographic area that are equally convenient. New textbook distribution channels. Increasingly, students have new options to buy the same textbooks from different distribution channels at different price points. The introduction of new distribution channels is increasing options for buyers and having an impact on the price elasticity of publishers. Black coffee. Coffee is generally widely available at a level of quality that meets the needs of most buyers. The combination of a low price relative to the buyer's spending power and the fact that the product is sold by many different suppliers in a competitive market make the demand highly elastic. One is soft drinks. Soft drinks and many other non-essential items have highly elastic demand. There is competition among every brand and type of soda, and there are many substitutes for the entire category of soft drink. Examples of elasticity of demand. The price of a radio falls from 500 pesos to 400 pesos per unit. As a result, the demand increases from 100 to 150 units. Letter B. Due to government subsidy, the price of wheat falls from 10 pesos per kilo to 9 pesos per kilogram. Due to this, the demand increases from 500 kilograms to 520 kilograms. Types of elasticity of demand. Price elasticity of demand is the response of the quantity demanded to change in the price of a commodity. The figure to my right shows the formula on how to get the price elasticity of demand. So let us use the formula on how to get the price elasticity of demand. So let us assume that a surge of 60% in gasoline price resulted in a decline in the purchase of gasoline by 15%. So using the formula, let us calculate the price elasticity of demand. So the price of elasticity of demand is equal to the percentage in change of the quantity over the percentage change in price. So we'll put negative 15% over 60%. The result of the price elasticity of demand is equivalent to negative 1/4 or negative 0.25. Another type of elasticity of demand is cross elasticity. Cross elasticity of demand of a commodity X for another commodity Y is a change in demand of commodity X due to a change in the price of commodity Y. The figure to my right shows the formula on how to get the cross price elasticity of demand. Income of elasticity. It is a degree of responsiveness of the quantity demanded to a change in the consumer's income. The figure below shows the formula on how to get the income elasticity of demand. Elasticity of supply establishes a quantitative relationship between the supply of commodity and its price. Hence, we can express the numeral change in supply with the change in the price of commodity using the concept of elasticity. The price elasticity of supply is the ratio of the percentage change in the price to the percentage change in quantity supplied of a commodity. The figure below shows how to solve the elasticity of supply. Types of the supply of elasticity or elasticity of supply. We have the relatively less elastic supply. By definition, when the change in supply is relatively less when compared to the change in price, we say that a commodity has a relatively less elastic supply. In such a case, the price elasticity of supply assumes a value less than 1. Relatively greater elastic supply. When the change in supply is relatively more when compared to the change in price, we say that the commodity has a relatively greater elastic supply. In such case, the price elasticity of supply assumes a value greater than 1. Unitary elastic. For a commodity with a unit elasticity of supply, the change in quantity supplied of a commodity is exactly equal to the change in its price. In other words, the change in both price and supply of the commodity are proportionately equal to each other. To point out, the elasticity of supply in such a case is equal to 1. Further, a unitary elastic supply curve passes through the origin. Perfectly elastic supply. A commodity with a perfectly elastic supply has an infinite elasticity. In such a case, the supply becomes zero with even a slight fall in the price and becomes infinite with a slight rise in price. This is indicative of the fact that the suppliers of such commodity are willing to supply any quantity of the commodity at a higher price. A perfectly elastic supply curve is a straight line parallel to the x-axis. So the price elasticity of supply includes the following. So when price elasticity supply is greater than 1, supply is elastic. But if it is lesser than 1, supply is inelastic. And if price elasticity of supply is equal to 1, it is unitary elastic. And if PES is equal to infinite, it is totally elastic. But if price elasticity of supply is equal to 0, it is totally inelastic. An example of perfectly elastic supply. While perfectly elastic supply curves are for the most part unrealistic goods with readily available inputs and whose production can expand easily, will feature highly elastic supply curves. Examples of this are pizza, bread, books, and pencils. Question and answer for the elasticity of demand. The price elasticity of demand is defined as a response of what? The answer is by definition. The elasticity of demand is a change in demand due to the change and one or more of the variable factors that depend on it.